Anyway, let's get on with this next segment. So, Kyle Kulinski, host of Secular Talk, a fellow ski. I am also a ski person. We have similar ancestry, so I just want to be very upfront with this. I don't want to sit here and criticize Mr. Kyle here, but a couple of my viewers, and by a couple I mean like probably 3, have been requesting me cover some of this guy's recent videos. He's not been sending his best recently, to my understanding. And so these 2 clips are from yesterday by Matthew Dimitri on Twitter, and I'm going to cover them. They seem to be at odds with each other, and they seem to be a little bizarre. So I'm going to start with this one. Secular Talk attacks AOC for noting that Ted Cruz incited violence against her at the Capitol push. You need to not use that language of, oh, all my colleagues on the right are irredeemable deplorables. And okay, so this is Secular Talk, Kyle saying something at one point. I don't know the date of these clips. I'm just talking about them as I receive them. So please understand.
Like the $2,000 checks, there were a number of Republicans who supported the $2,000 checks.
It sounds like it's maybe a couple months ago. You can work with people on the
populist right on trade policy, because they say, okay, we...
So, Kyle also believes in the myth of the populist right. That is a very nefarious mythological creation that never existed, never has existed, that a lot of people push because, let's be honest, they don't read into things too much. So let me be very clear here. There is no such thing as the populist right. It doesn't exist. To be populist, you need to be in favor of the people, right? If you are, if you are a white person and you believe in white supremacy and you believe in, let's say, cisgender supremacy, you hate trans people. Let's say you believe in straight supremacy, you hate gay people, right? Can you consider yourself a populist just because you think you should be able to have a medical insurance paid for? That doesn't make you a populist, right? If you believe in climate change but you are a racist, does that make you a populist? No, right? So the idea that there's a populist right it's completely a mythological creation. It doesn't exist. And so I just want to be very clear here at the get-go. So Kyle Kulinski is peddling some fake news here.
On trade policy, because they say, okay, we want to increase U.S. manufacturing, and so we want to stop outsourcing jobs. You could work with them on stuff like that. So you can form alliances on very specific issues with different factions of the right. On some economic stuff, there's a handful of populist right people you could work with, and along with a number of people on the left who will work with you on that. And on, again, war, so foreign policy, civil liberties, the drug war, you can work with the libertarian right people who agree with you on that. And again, a number of people on the left as well. So that's one way of doing it. The bipartisanship on your terms, that would, and Ro Khanna has proven that this is effective.
There's a whole bunch of gish gallop.
The whole Yemen thing that used the language of, oh, they want me killed, and they're...
So basically what he's saying is you should try to be open with Republicans on things that you think that they can work with you with, instead of just, saying no to them at all times. Now, from my understanding and for what people have told me, this video is the exact opposite of that belief when it comes to Democrats. So, he's saying all this stuff in favor of working with Republicans, but then he's going to change his tune when it comes to working with Democrats. So that's where it seems to be the problem with this analysis. But there's a little bit of gish gallop here.
But you need to be clear and specific, and don't be vituperative and over the top and hyperbolic and unnecessarily dramatic. And unfortunately, I think that's what AOC does all the time.
So what he is saying here is that AOC is being hyperbolic and unnecessarily dramatic when, again, an event occurred that 5 people died during. Now, there is a different reading of a major event when you read about it after the fact and when you experience it in real time. Now, for example, I don't know what Kyle was doing on January 6th. I was live streaming the whole day. I did a 16-hour live stream on January 6th up until 2, 3 a.m. And so when they got into the Capitol, there were parts of me that thought that, wow, this is going to get really bad. There's going to be a massacre going on. They might kill people of Congress. I was genuinely worried about what I was watching. Right now, if you, let's say you're looking on Twitter, scrolling through, and that's how you experience it, and then you do other stuff, and you come back to it later, and then you say, oh, it's all ready now. Right? If that's your experience with that, you'll see it's a less severe situation, right? But in real time, it looked like there were going to be a lot of people that were in a lot of injury, right? And so AOC being in that building, being afraid for her life, to claim that that's hyperbolic or dramatic, I'm sorry, man, but it's just like, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So she's ineffective. You know, nobody really likes her there. Now, some of that you can blame on them, of course, but some of that you got to look in the mirror. So that's one way to get stuff done. The other way to get stuff done is the strategy that is even more, impossible for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other people on the left, and it's honestly pathetic, but it's true. Copy the Tea Party approach. So it should be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
So again, this is another strategy that he likes to postulate that I disagree with. The Tea Party, the only reason that had any sort of anything whatsoever is, again, 1, Koch brothers. 2, they agreed with all the actual agenda items that the Republicans do. And 3, it was all just like, words. It was just saying words to get elected and then doing the same thing the other Republicans do. That was literally the whole thing with the Tea Party, right? So it's like, I'm sorry, it's a bad analogy. It's just a bad analogy.
There's Ro Khanna, Rashida Tlaib, Pramila Jayapal, Mark Pocan, Raul Grajava. There should be a block, Ilhan Omar, of like a dozen left-wing Congress people who are willing to hold bills hostage and who are willing to play, aggressive politics.
So, again, work with the right. Republicans, team up at all costs. Now, again, I say, yeah, there could be a strategy where you work up with Republicans, but I also say there could be a strategy where you work up with Democrats, and that's far more likely to occur. And so now let's watch this clip about how AOC keeps capitulating. She's a bad leader because she keeps working with Democrats.
Of course, you don't really believe the things that you claimed you believed in. And that ultimately, the higher goal for you is climbing within the party. And I don't want that to be the case. But reading a story like this, it's hard to not conclude that. Because there should be no scenario wherein Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez donates to Democrats who are against the left's main policy.
So now my position on the Politico piece that came out, that was another one of those wedge issues. Like, if you believe that AOC is a sellout, you're going to believe that she is bad. If you believe AOC is not a sellout, you're going to believe, hey, well, maybe that there's a good reason. So my personal position is that, do I like AOC all the time? No, she's wrong in a lot of things, especially on foreign policy is her weakest, but she has a lot of bad instincts too and a lot of good instincts. She's an elected official though at the end of the day, so it's like, who cares if I like her, right? But, when it comes to donating to centrists, right, she refuses to donate to the DCCC. So she does, in an effort to not get Democrats to hate her and block all of her legislation and amendments, as well as the squad, right, she donates specifically to what she refers to as frontline Democrats, those that could lose their seats to Republicans. Now, yes, are frontline blue dog Democrats annoying as hell? Absolutely. But guess what? I am a trans person, right? And recently, there were a lot of trans-related things that got put up to a vote in the House and in the Senate. And guess what? On those things, Republicans all voted to basically legislate my existence out of the United States, legislate my ability to get health care out of the United States. All the Republicans voted for that. Some of the Democrats did, but on average, the Democrats did not. So for me personally, as far as my personal most important issue, right, Democrat, I don't give a fuck, right? They could be like the most ridiculous to the right economically Democrat in the world, but if they vote in favor of social issues, that affects my life, and that's valuable to me. So that's something you need to understand to not be a class reductionist. That being said, again, the strategy for AOC is to donate to these people and then get people to have to publicly ally with her or publicly go against her. And what that does is it makes the lines clearer. It makes it so that, oh, well, Connor Lamb just got money and returned it to AOC. People in Connor Lamb's district then should call him and say, hey, why did you do that? AOC is a great ally. Why are you being so publicly against AOC? That's what you should do. That's the step 2 of that, right? But to Kyle Kulinski, working with Democrats, that's bad. Working with Republicans, that's great. Do it, though. You got to work with Ted Cruz on everything. But when you work with Democrats...
policies. So, again, completely unacceptable. She's really giving a lot of ammo to her left wing.
And I want to be explicit here. I don't think Kyle Kulinski is as bad as Jimmy Dore. I think Kyle Kulinski is, for the most part, he's, I think, got good instincts. But he is someone who's very easily manipulated by the people in his filter bubble. And he's got a lot of these really bizarro motherfuckers in his filter bubble. And he's also very ignorant on a lot of key issues. Again, like queer issues, like, women's issues, that kind of stuff. He's very ignorant on a lot of that stuff, and he doesn't have a desire to learn. So I don't think he's nefarious. I don't think he's a bad actor. I don't think he's evil-spirited. But he's not that bright, and I say that with all due respect. And he's in a really obnoxious filter bubble.
Critics here, for sure. For sure. Do I think there are some criticisms of her that are completely unfair? I do. But any criticism over this is absolutely fair. It's absolutely fair. You're donating to people who are ideological enemies within the party. If there is a democratic civil war going on, and there is, you're taking the side of the enemy in that battle. You're taking the side of the corporatists. Why would you donate money to them? You should be launching attacks against them, using public pressure.
So, again, this is another strategy to get attacks launched. Remember, where did the term the squad come from? Right. It came from when Nancy Pelosi and the top Democrats were attacking AOC, Ilhan Omar, especially Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Ayanna Pressley over things when they were, fresh women members of Congress back in the early early bits of 2019. Right. Then the term the squad started because people wanted a way, a shorthand to identify those 4 members of Congress. That's how the term the squad started, from getting attacked by centrists. So what AOC is doing here is a strategy to get attacked by centrists. And the centrists attacked her. They fell for it. And if we had a unified left wing, right, that was actually relatively intelligent in the media sphere, they would be Kyle would be using his fan base of 1 million subscribers or however many he has to tell people, if you're in Connor Lamb's district, call Connor Lamb's office and say, why are you going against AOC? Why do you hate AOC? Do you hate Medicare for all? My mom died. That's what you would be advocating for. That's what I'm advocating for. That's what you'd be advocating for with your nearly 1 million subscribers. So this is what this is. It's a deflationary tactic to defeat the power of online left movements. That's all what these filter bubbles are designed to do, is to make people disappointed. Why do you think this is such a bad idea? If you're promoting the idea of a democratic civil war, why are you antagonizing AOC making the good first shot? This is a great first shot. AOC gives an olive branch, gives centrists money, and the centrists spit in her face. That could be the perfect spark for a democratic civil war. But Kyle's just going to say AOC loses at the get-go? What?
Pressure campaigns to get them to fall in line behind our popular policies. And this is not that. It's not even close to that. Oh my God. It really is depressing, man. This makes me depressed. What has happened to her? $160,000 to establishment Democrats, and they spit in your face anyway and embarrass you anyway. Tell you, I don't want your money.
And again, Kyle of 2018-17, when he was founding Justice Democrats, you know what he would be saying in that era? He would be saying that that's where they fight. But now, right, 2021, Jimmy Dorified, Crystal Ballified, which, by the way, Crystal Ball followed me on Twitter. When are you going to watch my show, Crystal? I'm very critical of you. I'd love to have a conversation. All right. But, now that he's in this headspace where everything AOC does has to be bad in some capacity, he's convinced himself that, seed power all the time, always lose. This is no longer the strategical thinker he was when he founded Justice Democrats. Because a lot of people say, that a lot of people will pump up Kyle's ego and say, he founded Justice Democrats, look at him. Well, if he did, he would be, if that was the Kyle that we're talking to right now, he would be advocating to fight at every step. Not to cry and say that AOC is the worst thing ever and we need to start from scratch and all of my followers to just hate AOC instead of calling Connor Lamb. That's the kind of shit. It's deflationary, it's nihilistic, and it's just, I don't know, it's a little embarrassing. Come on, Kyle. Come on, man. Come on.
She's really not a great leader.
Get your words straight, Jack.
And a great leader for the moment. She's just not. She's running around like a chicken with her head cut off. She gets disrespected by the establishment of Nancy Pelosi, and then she falls in line and tries to get them back on her side. There is no insider game that you're going to win, AOC. You're going to get crushed in the insider game.
Now, again, I would like to say that this analysis is the same analysis I would apply to them working with Republicans. Now, I want to be there. I want to say that. I do not support AOC working with Ted Cruz on stuff because I don't trust that Ted Cruz is going into, in the end, do what he says he is going to do. I don't trust him as an honest actor. So when Kyle Kulinski is going out there saying AOC needs to team up with the right on everything, do you really think the right wing is going to pass a bill that's good for trans people, that's good for non-white people? You really think that that's going to happen? You really think that they're going to pass a bill that's good for poor people? That, you know, like, are like not in their means tested specific areas that they want to help out? Come on now. So I would like to say that this analysis that he has toward AOC for working inside of Democratic politics should be applied to Republican Party politics. Now, again, I think that this is a good strategy. Let the centrists throw the first punch. Great idea. And I think so far it's been working. But again, Kyle Kulinski, Jimmy Dore, Crystal Ball, they all want to tell you that, nah. Nope, she's wrong all the time.
Specialty. That's what they're good at. The only way you win is doing the outsider game, the public pressure campaign game, the activist game. You should want all of them to be your enemies, and you should wear that as a badge of honor. Instead...
Again, giving them money. Oh, I'm being so nice to you, and you spit in my face. That's a great call to action. If I got an email, right, from fucking a newsletter or an AOC campaign that said, look at what they did. Like, they spit in our face after we tried to reach out to them, proving that working with them is impossible. Let's organize to call their offices. Like, that's what they should be doing, and that's what in a lot of instances they are doing. But Kyle could be doing that, but he's not. Sorry, and I'm done with this clip. But anyway, I just wanted to get that critique out there. I don't think Kyle Kulinski's canceled. I think he's salvageable. I think we can reach our arms into the ocean and pull him out if we possibly had the ability to do so. I think he's got a good instinct for the most part, but he is surrounded by a bunch of people that are so fucking pessimistic, so deflationary, so nihilistic, and it's honestly a little embarrassing at this point because he's not being that much of an independent thinker. And that's my problem with that. But again, praising the idea of working with the right, working with the centrists, terrible, evil, awesome, or awful. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's strange. It's just, it's weird, man. It's interesting. I mean, it's certainly interesting, but yeah.